boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
William Boxing. He asks, is the black community behind David Benavidez because that's their last hope to beat Canelo? Smiley faces, that's all I see. Hashtag Canelo. This and that. We all know they don't care about Eastern Europeans like Bivol, so that win didn't count for them. Is William too focused on the race aspect? I'm assuming he's from America, Mexican American, more than likely. And as for the last hope of beating Canelo, Terence Crawford ain't got a hope. I think Terence Crawford has a hope. I don't think the black community are pinning their hopes in David Benavidez like that. I think the black community have supported David Benavidez for a little while. Some of it partly because of what William says. They want someone to challenge Canelo. A lot of people across the pond think that Canelo has got away with doing a lot of cherry picking, rule bending, looking to get edge on the scales, whether it's catch weights or rehydration clauses, and they'd like to see him defeated. Yes, indeed. But David has been with the PBC since its inception. He's always been relatively popular amongst the fan base, the black fan base of the PBC, as far as I know. He was signed with Mayweather, wasn't he? You have Brendan Taylor, True School Sports. Man, this PBC card was exciting from top to bottom, better than anything I've seen in Saudi.
Thank you, Ahim.
Trolling perhaps? Or just excited that big time boxing has returned to America. It was good to see that show. It was good. And there were a lot of Americans of all nationalities, ethnicities, who were very enthusiastic about this card. I'm not sure if they were very enthusiastic of parting with the $80 to watch it. I'm still yet to see the Stephen Fulton Figueroa fight and the Pitbull fight. I know True School Sports. He has a YouTube channel where he talks about boxing. And if he's not trolling and he's serious about our broadcasting platform is better than yours, that's a little played out in 2024. It really is. There shouldn't be no reason, the direction we're heading in, that we can't get the majority of all the top promotions all on one platform to consolidate and utilize the vast resources between all of them. Golden Boy, Matchroom, Queensbury, Top Rank. They're the bigger names, but there's loads of other promotions who will be broadcasting on DAZN, which will give us up to 150 shows for the year. Is that 3 shows a week nearly? This should be the year where everyone gets everything they want. Although we're not getting Chisora versus Walling in the UK, even though it's on DAZN. It's pissing me off a little. Blood Boxing. He said David Benavidez carries the torch for American boxing. I think currently I'd agree with that. Blood in the video said, I listened to the Hangout, carries the torch, him and Terence Crawford. I would agree with that right now. I would agree. Jose Rodriguez. The American boxing scene is so desperate for David Benavidez to be something he is not. He's a fun fighter to watch that is limited in his boxing fundamentals. That's fine. He is not this elite boxing punching monster. His output is nowhere near what it was at 168, and the drawing power to attract casuals is not there. There is more sizzle than steak. Well, it's strange, isn't it? It seems like the American boxing scene is embracing David Benavidez just as much as the Mexican audience would be expected to. And at this point, Jose could be right. America is a little desperate for some stars. I think he's a very entertaining fighter, but I'm going to reserve judgment to a degree to see how he negotiates the very difficult fights, whether that's Bivol or Beterbiev. Is he going to try the A-side game, even though one of them would have the belts and he doesn't at 175? You know, that diva shit. Nobody really wants to hear that. Unlike Tank though, he does have good lines of communication with Turkey. He asked Turkey to make the Canelo fight. Canelo was offered a substantial bag which he turned down, and as a result fell out with Turkey. They've since repaired their relationship, and Canelo's next fight will be, next couple of fights will be on Riyadh season. There'd be no point in moving up to 175 if he didn't want to fight either Bivol or Beterbiev, and I don't think there'd be none of that diva crap. Turkey eliminates network promoter politics. He eliminates all of that. It's a good thing just to have America talking about boxing right now. And you have to say that's due to David Benavidez. When is the last time ESPN and Top Rank have produced a card that's got the boxing community buzzing across there? Bob Arum is too old. Apparently they are going over to TYSON, although I haven't heard a date when this is going to take place. But people are too scared to tell Bob Arum, yo, you're just going to flipping fold up the whole company. They need someone with their eye on the ball.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
The Eubank Benn fight. April this year, reaction to that?
We said it off camera, I'm going to ask you again. I need to understand the position of the British Boxing Board of Control. I've not heard anything. And so if they write it off, say sign it off, there you go. So what does that mean? What is that telling us? What is their explanation for this? Because again, it's just pushing things under the carpet. I rate Conor Benn. I think this guy was probably one of the most talented, fast improving fighters we've ever got going. But if you're going to do a rule, make sure the rule exists and explain to people what's going on. What is happening? What's the Boxing Board of Control saying?
I think they're quite clear, aren't they? I think they are not in a position, if he applies for a British Boxing Board of Control licence, not to give it. And so as a result of that, they'll give him the licence. And whatever people think about it, and people will run around, without us seeming like we're obsessed, they'll run around and say that he's been cleared. I think that he's being allowed to fight. Being allowed to fight and being cleared are two different things.
Yeah.
Even Eddie, at his most obtuse, playing hide and seek with himself, knows that there's not been an answer to two failed drugs tests. The gift is Conor's to be able to release the findings. They keep on hiding behind confidentiality. We've all now discovered that if you want to, Conor can give permission for the findings to be put into the public domain. I suspect he doesn't want to do that because it won't give you quite the exoneration.
Now this PDF document you can get off UCAD's website. This is an email sent to Anonymous. Their name is blanked out. Thank you for your email of 24th of March 2018 in which you requested information from UK Anti-Doping under the Freedom of Information Act 2000, the Act. Specifically, your request was as follows. I am writing to you under the Freedom of Information Act 2000 to request the following information from UCAD. The level of nandrolone found in the urine sample of Hughie Fury after his fight on February the 21st, 2015. The level of nandrolone found in the urine sample of Tyson Fury after his fight on February the 28th, 2015. In determining whether or not disclosure or the requested information would contravene the first data protection principle, UCAD had first considered whether disclosure would be fair to either Tyson and or Hughie Fury if disclosure would not be fair. The exemption under section 40, the second of the Act, would be satisfied and the requested information could not be disclosed. After considering the various factors applicable in this matter, UCAD had concluded that the disclosure of the requested information would not be fair to the data subjects. That would be Tyson and Hughie. And we get to this part of the document. Whether there is legal public interest in the disclosure, UCAD recognizes the importance of transparency and accountability in general, both in terms of the public confidence that this inspires and also in providing the public with the ability to examine decisions taken in particular cases. However, in this instance, UCAD is of the view that providing the requested information devoid of any further evidential context may well lead to uninformed speculation. Furthermore, disclosure would contravene the rights of the Furies to have the confidentiality of the information respected pursuant to the terms of the ADR and the International Standard for the Protection of Privacy and the Personal Information. On balance, UCAD does not consider that there is an overriding legitimate public interest in providing the information such as to make its disclosure fair. So that same confidentiality that Conor Benn could break to give us an explanation of why he was cleared applies to Tyson Fury and Hughie Fury. And they're not breaking with their right of confidentiality. I could probably do research and go through loads of British athletes, not just boxers, who maintain their confidentiality in accordance with them being cleared to perform in their sports. Why is Conor Benn being held to a different level of scrutiny to Tyson Fury, Hughie Fury or any other British athlete is what someone needs to question Simon Jordan about. It's about time this story went away, in my opinion. Simon Jordan with his words acerbic conditionality, and that don't mean you can read a document or the documents from the dossier that cleared Conor. And that goes for the wider public in the UK. Do you hear what UCAD said in their explanation why they're not giving Tyson Fury or Hughie's information away? Because it will lead to uninformed speculation from you, the public. That's who they're talking about. Beats, I need to see the document. Do you work in a lab where they do testing? Or a doping agency? What sense of it can you make that the people who suspended Conor couldn't, or the people who cleared Conor couldn't? Well, I've just bought a new set of wrenches for the garage. Because you don't work in that industry. It's akin to the people who run up to the police station asking for information on the paedophile who's just moved into the community, and then they go and attack the paediatrician.
You gotta know your place in the world. You gotta know your place.
Uninformed speculation is going to lead to hysteria. So whether Conor Benn is clean or not, the worst thing is for the public to get this document thinking they know what the f*** they're talking about, or you have to deal with their biases against or for Conor Benn, and then you just stir up a whole new hornet's nest. But you try telling a member of the public that, oh, I need to see it, I need to see it. If you want to read PED documents, go to university and study the acquired sciences and courses to do so. Or get your law degrees up and your knowledge of legalese. A lot of you don't understand that you're led by propaganda and narratives being spun to go against certain people. And that's what's happened to you here. I have no issue with anyone who thinks Conor Benn is a dirty athlete. I have no issue with that. But you thinking he needs to do any more to prove himself to you or anybody is you being a bit of a jumped up nut job. Tyson Fury didn't break with his confidentiality, and neither does Conor need to. Is there rich boy lawyer games going on? Yes, of course there is. But that don't just apply to Conor Benn or to boxing or sport. Ask Simon Jordan. There ain't a rich person in the world, a rich or wealthy person, I'm talking about bona fide riches, bona fide wealth, who don't know the chicanery of law and hasn't applied it, coming out asking for open disclosure of everything. Let's make a deal with TALKSPORT. Yeah? When you ask Frank Warren why Tyson Fury didn't break with his right to confidentiality on his Nandrolone case, then we can go after Conor Benn. All guns blazing. But until then...
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
He's mandatory, but doesn't make business sense for me. I mean, I would fight NUNEZ in the morning. I've said it. It's not about the fighter. I fear no man. But in order for me to take these type of fights, business and all has to be right for me, and then that's just end of story.
Lee Wood hasn't fought since October 2023 when he stopped Josh Warrington in 7. That was a defense of his WBA 126-pound title. He vacated after defending against Warrington, and now he's going to fight Anthony CACACE. His WBA 126-pound strap against Josh Warrington he vacated after stopping Warrington in 7. And he wasn't at his best in the early rounds against Warrington. 36 years of age, and he's going to take on Anthony CACACE, who's also vacated his IBF 130-pound strap to take this fight against Lee Wood. As you can hear in the opening audio on this story, he had no interest in defending against Mexico's Eduardo Sugar Nunez, who's been a mandatory contender, I believe, since February 2024 when he defeated Shavkazon Rakimov in Tajikistan. So it's been a minute, and Eddie Hearn got on Anthony CACACE saying he's not going to fight Sugar Nunez, and CACACE said, I'm a fighting man, how dare you, Eddie, how dare you. And you've been stalling the game for long enough now. Nunez stepped aside to let CACACE make his first defense against Josh Warrington. The same Josh Warrington I just mentioned lost against Lee Wood in October 2023, and just before that he was outpointed for his IBF featherweight title against Luis Alberto Lopez. But look, it's fair play to CACACE. He's gave up the belt because he's not motivated to fight Nunez. It's a difficult fight for what he perceives he's going to be paid for that fight. Some people are going to say he should have defended his belt. Depends what your priority is, the money or the so-called legacy. Despite what BoxRec is saying, Eduardo Nunez's record is not 27-1-0, it's 28-1-0. The fight he took against Rakimov in Tajikistan has not been recognised by BoxRec for whatever reason. That was the eliminator. And we're talking 28 wins, 28 KOs, 1 defeat. I said on many occasions that CACACE is going to give up that strap. He's not going to fight this guy. Eddie Hearn said it many a time, and that's how it's panned out. The unsung, but very good, NUNEZ will take on Masanori Rikishi from Japan. Eddie Hearn said the fight could land in Japan. Masanori has a record of 16 wins, 1 defeat, 11 inside the distance.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Saul Canelo Alvarez, 34 years of age. Terence Crawford, 37 years of age. Terence Crawford, according to the Ring magazine, is the number 3 ranked pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Saul Canelo Alvarez is the 7th rated, also boxing's most marketable star in the United States. Crawford has a record of 41-0, 31 inside the distance. Canelo has a record of 62-2, 39 inside the distance. Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska, America. Canelo from Guadalajara, Mexico, are 4-division weight champions and elite level talents, but Crawford will move up 2 weight classes from junior middleweight to the super middleweight limit of 168 for what figures to be the most difficult fight of his 17-year professional career. They're round about the same height, but Canelo will almost certainly be the bigger man on fight night. An agreement has been announced by the Ring magazine, which is a very reliable source considering it's now owned by Turki Al Sheikh. An agreement has been made for September in Las Vegas. So it's on. The question now, will they have interim fights in between? As Ade Oladipo said, it's a little risky, isn't it? Having interim fights. Anything could go wrong, and it would just scupper the plans of a huge event in boxing. One of the hugest, not just in modern day boxing history, but boxing history period. Ade was suggesting they just bring it forward to May, and we eliminate the risk of any of them losing their interim fights, and we don't get the fight. Crawford is currently the WBA 154-pound champion, while Canelo holds 3 straps at 168. He's first expected to take a fight on May the 3rd, T-Mobile Arena. Opponents mentioned are William Skull, and I've heard Christian Mbile. It's not clear if Crawford is going to box before his fight with Alvarez in September. It says here in this Ring magazine article, if Crawford waits, he would have been inactive for 13 months by the time he steps into the ring to box Alvarez in September. Keith Idek is the staff writer and columnist for the Ring. He can be reached on X at Idek Boxing. Can't think of many in the modern day era who can boast being a 5-weight world champion, scanning from lightweight to super middleweight, undisputed in 2 of them weight classes. A lot to play for Crawford, a lot to play for. If Canelo is bested for the 3rd time in his career, the 2nd time by the smaller man, although there was a catch-weight clause in his loss to Mayweather, it won't sit well with Canelo, and it won't sit well with a lot of his fans, let's just say that. Some may say Crawford doesn't have as much to lose being the smaller man. I'm not sure about that, you know. If he's beaten conclusively by Canelo, the weight differential will be quickly forgotten by many, and they're going to start digging in his resume for the elite names that he's defeated, which is unfair. Boxing doesn't work like how a lot of people may suggest when they're reading out a resume. It doesn't work like that. There's a lot more components below the bonnet, if we're going to be honest about it.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.